welcome to a new episode. And this is a really interesting shop today because, ever since starting YouTube earlier this year, there's been one shop in my mind that I really wanted to visit. And it's pretty much because it was the first shop that I really got friendly with here in Japan back in the day when I originally started shooting as a full-time job and kind of documenting car culture. And that would be Kazama Auto. So we're out here in Kasukabe, Saitama. And Kazama-san has always been an awesome guy and a great help for me throughout the years. And I think it's just right that I dedicate some space on the channel to kind of show what the brand is all about. And it actually comes at a really good timing because they've actually changed, or shifted rather, over the last couple of years towards embracing their roots around drifting, and specifically professional drifting in Formula D. They have the biggest team in Formula D Japan right now with 5 cars. That's our sick 4-car transporter here. And yeah, like I was saying, they really went back to their roots. They started off as a kind of, your neighborhood drift shop where you would take your daily driver / weekend drift car to get worked on and parts fitted and modified. And originally when I came here and met them for the first time, that's exactly what they were doing. And even at one point when drifting wasn't as popular, they actually started doing remote control drifting stuff, and they had a big track here. And I remember coming here with my little Yokomo drift car and having a bit of fun. But today is very different. They've kind of redone a lot of the shop, modernized it, built and added buildings, and they're still working on some expansion here. But yeah, let's take a walk around, check out the cool cars they have, all the FD cars. I mean, if you're used to following, Formula D in the US, or even hitting up some of those events, the rigs they have out there are, massive compared to what we get here in Japan. But for Japan, a 20-ton truck with 4 spaces for cars in the back is pretty baller. So yeah, like I was saying, Kazama Auto is the biggest team in Formula D Japan right now with 5 cars. So over the 2 workshops on one side, they've pulled some drapes over to create some shade. It's still very hot despite being middle of September here. So here's Okabe's JZX100 and Takashima's JZX100. So they're getting prepared for the next round in Okayama in early October. So these are very hard-driven cars that need a lot of TLC after each round. And by the looks of it, including some cosmetic work. So let's start with the new generation Lexus IS. So this is the car that Kazama built for Ken Gushi. So every time there's a round here in Japan, Ken Gushi has to get on a plane and fly over here to jump into this beast. And it's going to be a pretty tight schedule for him to kind of do Formula D US and Japan at the same time. So the car runs Tomei stroked 2J with a big GCG Garrett GT40. So about 1,000 horsepower, if not more. But the level and quality of construction of this car actually blows me away. So it's all carbon fiber door here for the passenger and the driver, and even back here. So this is the back where everything is being cornered off so that the radiator does its job here. So this is Ken Gushi's Japan office. I have to say, drift car builds have come a long way in the last few years. Fabrication has definitely taken a big leap forward, and safety is being really embraced. Something that, I remember in Speed Hunters doing stories about drift cars and people commenting that they all had bolt-in cages and complaining. So it's good to see that they've embraced the American way of doing things when it comes to safety. So the car runs Gram lights like every Kazama Formula D car since they started competing in the series. Gram lights shod in Advan Niova 09s. These are the go-to tires for drifting here in Japan. And of course, Team Kazama is sponsored by Moti's which is the big oil company out here in Japan. But yeah, I mean, the details are really impressive, even the carbon mirrors. It's a pity we can't get a proper look at the rear end, but it's as aggressive as it gets. It's got artisan spirits, rear bumper finishers and over fenders. Right, so past another set of Rays and Yokohama Niovas, we get into this, which used to be the old RC drift track, and there's this stunning 180SX customer car. Kazama-san was saying the owner has been really babying this car. He just basically takes it out, adds more parts, fixes it, cleans it, and then puts it back away. And it's really, I love the fender work that's being done here to the rear. So right behind the 180 is this JZX81 Mark II. So it looks like it's in pretty crappy condition, as Kazama-san was just pointing out. But the thing is, this is going to be a complete new project. It's going to be completely restored and redone and turned into a pretty serious drift setup with knuckles and everything. They've already done the automatic to manual conversion. I'm not sure if they're going to keep these grime lights, but these are pretty sick. Next to it, next to the 81 Mark II, is Sato's JZX100 Formula D car. I love how they use a PET bottle to close off the wastegate screamer pipe. Sick looking thing with a wide body. And there's 4 more cars here, so let's start with the 180SX. This is actually Iwata-san's own car. Iwata-san is the owner and founder of Formula D Japan. So this car is in for a bit of maintenance. He's owned it for many, many years. And it's good to see people keeping and looking after these Japanese gems. Next to it is Kazama-san's own LC street car, which he said he hasn't driven in 4 years. And then we have a 86 Formula D car. And next to it, the S15 Varieta, sporting the full Kazama Auto wide body. Now this car is actually probably going to end up being sold off to the States when it reaches that 25 years of age. So if you guys are looking for one of the most, I guess, rarest and awkward looking S15 versions, and I say awkward because not the Kazama kit, but because of this. I never really digested that massively long trunk, but yeah, definitely different and definitely cool. Some of Kazama's parts on display. This is all brand new. I mean, this is the first time I see this. There's a little cabinet here with all the Formula Drift trophies from the last few years. Popular parts like manifolds, slide cam pulleys from HKS. There's this side, which back in the day used to actually be power vehicles. So this is where Andy was set up, and we're talking about probably like 15 years ago now. And now it's become Kazama's little business office, so that's where his staff work away in the private office. But it's actually this thing here that I'm interested in because Kazama-san has just given me the keys. So before we do that, let me talk you through what you're looking at. So this is Kazama's own GR86. And he's collaborated with GReddy here in Japan to do a kind of long-term test on their up-and-coming turbo kit. So if you open up here, you'll see how this car is actually running
a yet unnamed, oh, it's got the GReddy logo there on the filter. So it's running a little GReddy turbo. Good for about 280 to 300 horsepower. And apparently it makes a big difference. And we're just gonna jump in and test it out. Because not only is it the first time I get to drive the GR86, but this one's already sorted with more power, suspension, aftermarket brakes, and wheels, and Yokohama Niova. So a nice little package. This is always my struggle in Japan. Italian hips don't really match Japanese buckets. Oh my god. Oh god. Oh, right. Keyless entry makes it easier to turn on. Oh wow, look at that. So this is actually the first time I jump in a GR86, and of course it's already tuned. This is Japan, but sounds nice. So basically it's running GReddy's soon-to-be entry-level turbo kit for the new 2.4 flat 4 boxer 4, and it's basically meant to boost power anywhere from 280 to 300 PS, and it seems to pick up pretty much around 2,500 RPM with a decent amount of boost. I don't have a gauge here to look at actual boost, but it does offer instant response. So that was 2.5 to 3, and then once you floor it from 3 to 4, it really gets on power, and we'll have to find slightly more open roads to do that. But initial thoughts in the first 2 minutes that I'm driving it, big thumbs up for now. All right, so we'll do a little off the line kind of thing. That is not bad for an entry-level sports car. Oh, it's hard. It's got such mid-range torque. Inside, first thing I notice is when I open the door, the Kazama Auto, I guess like rubber pads for where you put your accessories or bottles. And the car runs Bride Lomax bucket for the front, which is absolute agony for my Italian hips, and something a little bit more comfortable for the passenger side. Everything else has been left stock, and that's why you know, this car really feels like it does so well at being both a nice, fun track toy as well as a daily driver. Okay, so I thought I'd give you some point of view look from the cabin. As you can see, that track display is still there. Turn on the air a bit. So it's a really nice, comfortable car to be driving around. And like I was mentioning, it's got knuckles or something because there's a lot of steering. So it's like pretty much ready to go. It's even got the fly off button on the side brake and that locking limited slip at the back. And of course with 300 horsepower you pretty much have what you could call a modern day S15 Silvia. feel that diff. So I probably spent a good half an hour, 40 minutes driving this thing, and I'm really impressed with what this car actually has become. I always thought the original version was great, but somewhat lacking in some areas. I never was too much a fan of the design. I always thought the interior looked cheap and economical. This has definitely got better plastics, softer dashboard. Still put together rather well, being a Toyota, of course. But the most important thing is they fixed the design of the interior. They gave it an exterior design that really works. And then, shops like Kazama Auto refining that further and getting it to sit right, perform right in the handling department and the braking department. And then GReddy with their turbo kit that's going to be released later on this year. I think this GR86 makes a lot of sense. It might be a little pricey in some countries, but in Japan at least it does make a lot of sense. Unless you want to get yourself into an older platform and then deal with the obvious issues and problems that you may encounter with that. But yeah, it's a fun car, lots of torque. This is 5th gear, picks up at 2,500 RPM like no problem, and it's a ton of fun. Okay, so this is insane. We're just about to leave, and this old lady rocks up and brings this in. This is a AE86 Trueno that has been used every single day by this old lady. She bought it new. It's got 82,000 kilometers on the clock, and she brought it in for an alignment. And it's insane. I mean, it's insane. Like, it's completely stock except for like a Fujitsu exhaust. Stock wheels. I mean, it's definitely in need of some, TLC, but this is the stuff you can come across in Japan. Like, unfortunately, she doesn't really want to be on camera, which is a bit sad because this could be a whole video in itself, but the stuff you just come across sometimes kind of blows your mind. And the best part is that there's like a vintage pack of tissues up here from probably like 1988. So as Kazama-san was just telling me, this comes from Toyota Auto Higashi Saitama, and it's a dealership that no longer exists. Netsune. It became a Toyota Nets dealer. Another little point that Kazama pointed out is the actual plastic top. The top of the antenna, usually the first thing that comes off on these cars. So I was having a look underneath, and it's got a full Fujitsu exhaust. Not sure about headers, obviously, because we haven't looked in the engine bay, but absolutely immaculate. And I know most people will probably be like crazy with the hatchbacks, and this being a notch probably won't be as valuable, but a one owner car, never crashed, 80,000 kilometers, so that's about 50,000 miles, and in this condition, maybe 5 million yen, 6 million yen, more if it was a hatchback. I don't know, you guys tell me, let me know in the comments what you think this car could potentially be worth. It looks like this old lady probably has a dog that's been biting this, or used to bite it. But yeah, they just lifted it up, and of course, as you would expect, stock suspension. Alignment is done, and off it goes. See what a unmolested Hachiroku engine bay looks like. Wow. Needs a bit of love.
there you have it, a nice shop tour with a good old friend and a nice surprise at the end of it. I'm so happy I got to drive the GR86 finally, and especially one that really shows the potential these cars really have out of the box from factory. Yeah, I mean, make sure you check back soon for more. There'll be more shop tours like these coming, and hopefully more drives, surprise drives like today.